So, 10 things you always wanted to know about woodworking but were afraid to ask. Number 1, why is a 2x4 not a 2x4? If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me show you. You have a standard 2x4 right here, nothing pretty. You measure it and take a look. That ain't 4, that's 3.5. What about over here? That's not 2, that's 1.5. What's the deal? Am I being lied to? Kinda, sorta. But you're still paying for the entire 2x4, okay? When the tree grows and it goes to the mill, what happens is actually do indeed cut it roughly 2 inches by roughly 4 inches. Then they take it to go dry, which causes it to shrink down. After that, it's nice and dense and hard and dry and everything, but it still kind of looks like crap. So what they do is they go ahead and plane it and joint it for you so it makes it look all nice and neat. The problem is it actually reduces the size of that 2x4 down to a 1.5 by 3.5. Now, a lot of places, they've actually changed the labeling in the stores. Sometimes if you go see, like, hey, we're the 2x4 by 8, you go over there, it'll actually say in there 2x4 by 8, or it'll say, and also it might say 1.5 by 3.5 for the actual size, okay? Now, it's not just 2x4s, it's pretty much everything. Take a look right here. You can see a lot of what I'm talking about, okay? A lot of the sizes on there are just a little bit off. Now, these are some of the most common lumber dimensions that are out there and their respective sizes, okay? So, that's number 1. Number 2, what is the deal with the tape measure hook? Right here. See how the little guy moves? Just a little bit right there. Now, I did a single video on this a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to throw it out there some more because I know there's still a little bit of confusion on there, and just for the guys who haven't seen that video. The reason for it is, no, your tape measure is not broken. It is not messed up. The purpose of the hook is to obviously hook the end of a piece of wood, okay? Now, when you're doing that, when you hook it right here, that actually throws off the measurements, okay? Because the tape measure is actually having to extend past the end of the board, okay? So that's why it's hooking there, and that's why it pulls out a little bit when you catch the end. Now, if you're doing an inside measurement, it's actually going to push that hook back the other way, okay? And it does it automatically, so you don't have to worry about it, all right? So again, this is just to make sure that you can measure the inside and outside of a section of wood without it getting messed up, okay? Now, one of my viewers actually made a real good point, not to do that, okay? See that? Slam it home. What that does is it actually sends this out of calibration, okay? So this has got a little bit more play than it's supposed to, just because I've been beating up on this old tape measure for a long, long time, okay? So take care of your tapes. Don't let those things slide home, all right? That's number 2. Number 3, this is kind of a goofy one, but a lot of dudes still ask me this. Hey, how do you sharpen a carpenter's pencil? Well, first off, what is a carpenter's pencil? This beautiful thing right here, this is a carpenter pencil. It's not a round, normal pencil, all right? 2 reasons for the shape. 1, so it doesn't roll down the side of a roof. 2, the size of the lead on here, or more technically the graphite, is a lot thicker than a normal pencil, so you can get a little bit more wear and tear, a little bit more use out of it, okay? Now, how do you sharpen these goofy looking things? Well, you got a couple ways. You can go to the home center and pick up one of these, okay? Now, it's got this weird little shape right here, and that actually fits just like that, and actually holds it so you can indeed sharpen it, okay? Some guys love these things. Personally, I can't stand them, all right? I don't think it gives me a good edge. I just don't like the way that they work. So, I'm a little more old-fashioned. What I do, pull out a nice razor knife with a clean, fresh, sharp blade, and start right here, okay? Just like that. And don't just push straight, actually kind of slice, okay? Let me show you. Don't just push like that, actually kind of slice, okay? So you do a couple on one flat side, a couple on this other flat side, right here, right there. Alright, and then pretty much once you get it to about here, just take out those corners. Get up on my toes so you guys can see this a little bit better. Alright, just work it down, work it down. Eventually you get a nice, beautiful point like there, okay? Other guys, if you've got like a belt stand or something, you can just rub it right up against the belt sander and work it around and get a beautifully sharp point. But typically, this is all you need to do, okay? Number 4, what is the deal with all the different number on sandpaper? Okay, you have 120 grit, you get 220 grit, you have 1000 grit, you have 2000 grit. What do these numbers mean? Basically, the higher the number, the finer the sandpaper. A good way to think about it is just imagine that that number is how many pieces of abrasive is on that sheet. Okay, it's not the actual number. That's not actually what that number is, but you can think about it that way. Okay, so if you have 150 grit, think your little disc sander, or big sheet or whatever, you have 150 chunks or 120 chunks of abrasive on there. If you go up to 2000, you have 2000 little chunks on there, so it's going to be much finer paper. Okay, that's all that means. Okay. Number 5, the word is joist or joists, not joistices. Okay, a lot of guys for some reason they're not sure exactly what that means. A joist is basically what holds up flooring. Okay, it's the vertical members that are horizontal members like this. All right, that go across and things go up on top of it. Those are called joists. Okay, not joistices. Number 6. What does the penny mean when you're talking about nails? Some guys mean an 8-penny nail or a 10-penny nail. All right, let me show you a little chart here. That's all it is. It is simply the size. Okay, doesn't mean that's how much it costs. No, it is simply the size of the nail. Okay, it kind of tells you, about the size. All right, so that big one right there, that is a 60D or a 60-penny nail. All right, it is 6 inches long. The number 2, and you get about 11 of them per pound. Okay, that's all that means. All right, so if someone says an 8-penny nail, what they're actually looking for is a 2.5-inch nail. Okay, that's all that means. Number 7, hardwood versus softwood. Believe it or not, it literally has nothing to do with the density of that wood. Okay, all it has to do with is whether it loses its leaves or not. Okay, it is a hard wood. It has leaves that change and leaves that fall, like oak and poplar, stuff like that. Okay, if it is a soft wood, it basically has needles. Okay, that's literally all that means. Okay, if you look at, say, cedar, for example, cedar, as far as its density goes, is a soft wood. Okay, but if you look at, say, heart pine, all right, much more dense. It's much harder as far as the density goes, but it's still considered a soft wood. Poplar, as an example, is a relatively soft density wood, but it's still considered a hard wood simply based on the leaves. So again, it has literally nothing to do with the density. It has everything to do with the leaves. Number 8. How do you know if something has a reverse thread on it or not? So you have a table saw, you need to change the blade. Which way do I turn that wrench? Do I bring it towards me? Do it against, the other way? Is it a reverse thread? Is it a normal thread? How do you know? Basically, don't think about it that way, all right? Say, for example, that you're on the table saw. The blade is actually spinning towards you, okay? The way that is spinning is going to be the exact same way that you loosen the blade, okay? Think about a circ saw, same thing. The blade is spinning this way. That is the same way that you loosen it. Think about an angle grinder. Angle grinder spinning this way. That's the same way you loosen it. Router, same thing, okay? So don't think so much about, oh, this is a right-hand saw or a left-hand saw, or, which side is the arbor on. It doesn't matter. Whichever way that is actually spinning while it's working and doing its cutting or grinding, this is going to be the same way that you loosen it, okay? And don't over-tighten the things, all right, because they self-tighten while they're doing it, okay? Number 9. This is kind of a personal story here. Telling a friend of mine, hey, dude, go to my tool bag, big black one, full of cool toys, and go grab me the speed square. Okay, cool. He's looking, can't find the thing. And I was like, yeah, it's in that side pouch right there. He's like, I don't see a square in here. Like, dude, you're actually holding, your hand is on it. He's like, dude, this is not a square. It's a triangle. I never really thought about that. So why is a speed square not called a speed triangle? Well, because that's just the way it is, okay? It makes things square, all right? What does that mean? Square means that it's going to make things at an exact 90 degree, or at least as close to as 90 degree angle as you can, alright? So this line right across here, that would be square, okay? It puts things square. Everything lines up properly, 90 degree angles or whatever angles you're looking for. That's why it's called a speed square, not a speed triangle. And number 10, what does pressure treated or PT mean, and why is the stuff green? Alright, pressure treated literally means is what they do is they get a regular board, alright, regular 2x4 or whatever they're working on. They have this big container that they put the thing in, okay? There's just racks and racks and racks of 2x4s or whatever they're working on, and they put it in there and they create a vacuum. They suck all the air out of that chamber, okay? They fill it with a bunch of preservatives, some liquid preservatives that get injected in there and it's put under high pressure, thus pressure treated, and that's all that means, okay? It's not like it was put in a press or anything crazy. It was just literally treated under pressure with all these different chemicals and preservatives to make sure that the wood actually lasts longer. Now, why is it green? Well, years and years ago, one of the chemicals that was used in it was actually copper. Now, what happens to copper when it starts getting old? It starts to tarnish and turn green, okay? Nowadays, there isn't copper in pressure treated, at least that's what they tell me, but you still have to know the difference, okay? When you're looking at two pieces of wood, they might look identical as far as the color goes unless you dye one of them, and right now what they're doing is they're dyeing it green. There are some places you can actually get it dyed brown. It just kind of depends on where you are in the United States or wherever across the planet. And so they actually make that color change in there so you actually know exactly what you're dealing with and what you're working with. Okay? So that's all that means. Alright? So that is the top 10 questions that you've always wanted to know the answers to but might have been afraid to ask. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, whines, bitches, moans, or groans, let me know below. I read every single comment and I reply to most of them. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Also, you can follow me on Facebook. Just look up Project Woodworks. Every now and then I'll throw out little, tips and tricks and that sort of thing. And if you got any video ideas or any questions that you might want the answer to, please let me know. I'll do my best to get to every single one of them. Thanks for watching.